Hey, good afternoon. Russell of Hotels going live just for a couple of minutes. You guys know how I do it. I do this daily check-in. I try to do it daily, right? Time changes every now and then, but I try to do this Monday, Wednesday, Thursday, and Friday. So today is Wednesday, right? So happy hump day. Hope you guys are doing well. Did I say that already? I don't know, but today is Wednesday, January 31st, the last day of January. Tomorrow's start February 1st, right? So, we're looking forward to that, I guess. I mean, it's a year, people are saying, oh, the year's going by so fast. Okay, all right, we just completed, the first 31 days of the year. Calm down, okay. It ain't like we're already in June, you know what I mean? So let's just relax, okay. It ain't going that fast. All right. So, but anyway, hope you guys are doing well. I didn't have a lot to talk about today, right? But I did have this to talk about. Tomorrow, I'm going to be a guest on someone's podcast, Mr. Victor Simmons. He's on LinkedIn, right? Did I mention that right now I'm live on LinkedIn, X, IG, Facebook, and YouTube, okay? So tomorrow, Victor Simmons is going to do a live on LinkedIn Live, and we're going to talk about personal branding. He's asking me if I can discuss personal branding. I said, well, based on the questions you asked, yeah, of course I can do that, right? I didn't even know personal branding was a thing a couple of years ago, right? But as you can see now, everybody's talking about, starting that personal brand and this and that and whatever. Well, I came up when I just did things. I just started posting things, and eventually, I did create a brand. I mean, I started with, Russell of Hotels, right? But at first it was just Russell, it was just me, right? I was just trying to branch out from the hotels, being on property, to doing my own thing, because when you work on property for a hotel, especially as a director of sales and marketing, you can only help out that one hotel. And I said, well, I like to help out multiple hotels, multiple people. So that's when eventually it morphed into Russell of Hotels, right? So that's how it started. That's my story, right? So, and always make sure, when you're doing your personal branding, I'll give you three things, right? Before tomorrow, right? I'm going to give you a little cheat sheet here, just in case, you don't listen tomorrow, right? But I'm giving you three things. And I posted this earlier today on some of my social media stuff, whatever. So there's three things before you even think about, I'm going to start a personal brand. These are three things that you need to make sure you know. Number one is be authentic, right? Be you. Don't try to be someone else. We all watch or listen to podcasts, right? And we say, oh, I can do what he or she is doing, right? Well, maybe you can, right? But the thing of it is that you want to be you. You want to be your authentic self. You don't want to do what they're doing, right? It can be the same content that we're talking about, but we're going to both deliver it differently, okay? Because we come from different perspectives, or so I deliver something different than Victor would deliver. Although Victor and I have known each other forever, right? But that has nothing to do with it, right? It's based on, his interpretation of that particular subject matter or whatever. So it doesn't matter. So that's why there's like 3 million podcasts out there, right? Because everybody has their own way to spin things. There may be, a lot of people talk about sports, right? Well, no two people are talking about sports the same way, right? Because their experience comes in, it weighs in, and like, okay, I have experience with this person doesn't, right? So I never compare myself to other people that do hospitality podcasts or talk shows, because we're all different. We all come from different walks of life, or have different experiences and all that stuff. But authenticity is number one. Number two is tell your story. Just like I just said, no two people can deliver things alike. No two people have the same story. I always talk about this when, I have this, part of On Air with Russell of Hotels. When I have guests on, I'll ask them, did you choose hospitality, or did hospitality choose you? No two people have the same journey, right? I don't have the same journey that Victor had, or Joe Carrillo had, or Joe Tatizian had. We all came up differently. I'm name dropping today. Did you catch that one? So everyone had, or Jim Schichter, you know what I mean? So we all came up or came through the hospitality industry differently. Some of us went to school. Some of us, started working as we were 16 at hotels at the front desk. Some of us started at PBS PBX operators. They don't even call it that anymore. Do they still call it PBX? I don't even know. But it's different, right? So everybody's journey is different. So that's two. Number three is consistency. You have to be consistent. You have to do these lives consistently because you want people to see you, right? You want them to relate you to that brand, right? So that's why if you look right here, every time I do a live or my daily talk show, there's in fact, I didn't even change that, right? This is the daily check-in. This is not On Air with Russell of Hotels. But see, I made a mistake there, but that's okay. But no matter what you're doing, make sure they can tie you in to that, right? So this is daily check-in, but I also do On Air with Russell of Hotels, which is every Tuesday at 1:00. Did you happen to catch it yesterday? If you didn't catch it, there's some good information on there. I suggest that you go back and look at the replay on LinkedIn, on Facebook, or YouTube, and just check it out. It's on X as well. So make sure you check it out because there's some good information that I shared yesterday that you just, maybe for people that are looking for jobs, especially people within the hotel space, especially if you're a sales manager or a director of sales and you're looking for a new position, question that you should be asking the interviewer, right? Whoever's interviewing you, there's questions I put out there just for that. I also put out, red flags, how they answer questions. Some of the ways they answer questions or they respond to your questions could be red flags, okay? So I put that stuff out there too. It's a no-brainer, right? So you can go into these interviews and ask questions, right? A lot of people think that it's just about them interviewing us. No, it's about us interviewing them as well, right? You want to work somewhere where you know everything. Everything's on the table, right? You don't want any surprises, right? So, but if you don't ask the questions, you're never going to know, right? You have to ask the questions before you step foot in that hotel that I took that job and now I'm ready to be the director of sales and marketing at this hotel, right? You don't want any surprises, right? I gave an example yesterday of that I didn't ask the right questions. On my last job, I didn't ask the right questions. And I walked into something that I was not prepared for. It was crazy, okay? Not that I was prepared because I've been a director of sales and marketing before, but there's a lot of other details that go along with when you accept a position. Do departments get along? What are the goals and what does the marketing plan look like? What is your budget? What are the goals? How am I going to be what am I trying to say? How am I going to be graded on my performance, right? Is it based on my numbers, based on me showing up, based on what I dress, based on what I look like, whatever? Those are questions you need to ask, right? Open-ended questions, not closed-ended questions. I see Jim has a comment here. Let me just put that on the screen here. I think you're spot on with consistency and commitment. Too many podcasters try to be like everyone else and don't commit to regular schedules or content. You got it right, and we're glad you are out here for the hospitality community. Thank you so much, Jim. See, I appreciate that. I appreciate you coming on here. I didn't expect all that. I'm going to put it up there again. So, it's very important that you be consistent and you show up, right? You have to show up because people, they'll start, wanting to see you, they start anticipating, oh, Russell's going to come on today. I have to check it out when I have time, right? And that's fine, right? But if you do it every now and then, no one's ever going to get used to you. Just like your favorite show on TV, right? I mean, when we used to watch TV, before, the other stuff, before Netflix and all those things. Well, there's still certain things, programs that come on at certain times. I watch Diners, Drive-Ins, and Dives, right? Every Friday night, okay, at 7:00, okay? It comes on, and it goes until like midnight. And I don't watch all of them. I may flip off every now and then. But I know on Friday night at 7 p.m. California time, Diners, Drive-Ins, and Dives will be on, okay, up until like midnight. Every episode, like 30-minute episodes at a time, right? I watch that almost religiously. That's probably my favorite show, right? So, and if they changed it, if it came on every now and then, I'll be like, well, I'll move on to something else that was more consistent, right? But because Guy Fieri is consistent, right? Food Network channel, they're consistent on their programming. I know when it's going to come on. Same thing with when you're doing these digital shows or these whatever podcasts or whatever. people look for consistency on it. If it's once a week, if they're going to do it at a certain time, or at least this is when they're going to post it at a regular time, you get used to that. Okay, the next podcast, it comes out at this time. I want to make sure I get it and download it or whatever, right? So same thing, right? So thank you so much, Jim, for that. I appreciate that. Well, that was it. I mean, I just wanted to come on and just basically let you guys know that I'm going to be on Victor Simmons' LinkedIn Live show tomorrow. Victor Simmons, Simmons. It's going to be tomorrow at 3 o'clock California time, and which is 6 o'clock East Coast time. Okay, Victor's on the East Coast. I'm on the West Coast, right? But that doesn't mean we can't do it. It doesn't matter where you are, right? He can be on the other side of the world. It doesn't matter. We'll figure it out, right? And, there's going to be some stories being told. Of course, we're going to talk about personal branding, but, within that, we got to tell the story about how did Victor and I even meet? Did we meet, in hotels, or did we know each other before then? I don't want to let the cat out of the bag, right? But there's some interesting stories that are going to come out because of this, right? Victor doesn't know that, but I'm going to share some stories. So there you go. So, but once again, 3 things before you start this journey to a personal brand. Number 1, be authentic. Number 2, tell your story. Whatever that is, tell your story. People want to know. And number 3, be consistent. That's it. Show up as often as you need to, right? I only used to do On Air with Russell of Hotels every Tuesday, but I said that's not enough. I don't think that's enough for me to get out who I am, what I do, and how I can help people, right? So that's when I started the daily check-in, because I didn't think On Air with Russell of Hotels was enough. I wasn't reaching enough people. It was consistent. It was every week, right? But I just thought I was missing. Like, I should be doing things like 5 days a week instead of just 1 day a week. So that's when I started the daily check-in, which comes on Monday, Wednesday, Thursday, and Friday, right? So on Tuesday, it's On Air with Russell of Hotels. So there you go. That's what I did. And this is the thing. You can start it immediately, right? So start where you are. When you do your personal brand, I'm going to start a personal brand. I'm going to start doing things now. It doesn't matter where everyone else is. You start where you are, okay? And that's another thing that people get kind of disenchanted with or ticked off or whatever, or thinking, I'm just so far behind, I'm not going to ever start one. It doesn't matter where you are. It doesn't matter where someone else is. Don't compare yourself to everyone else. Compare yourself to you, and what you're trying to get out of this, right? And start wherever you are, that's where you start. So if you've never done posting before, you never did a podcast before, well, then that's where you start. Simple as that. I mean, that's how I started, right? I mean, everybody has to start somewhere. So I just said one day back in 2018, I've been a guest on Craig Sullivan's show, was it Checkout California? It was a summer, and I left his show on my way back. He was in Orange County, on my way back home, and I thought I could do something like this. This is kind of cool, because I don't want to. And this is how I talk myself into it, right? I said, I don't want to leave 2018 going into 2019 doing the same thing that I was doing as far as building a brand and all this kind of stuff, right? So I said, I need to jumpstart. I need to let people know exactly what I do, who I am, what I do, and how I can help them. Those are the 3 things that just kind of got ingrained in my head, in my brain, right? So I said, you know what? I can do this. So I called up Craig and I said, hey, what do you think about me doing this show? I'm not trying to copy you, anything like that. He said, no. He said, you would be totally different. You would present things differently. He's more on Craig's show was more, or Craig's experience is more on the development, like hotel development, how to get like funding and all those kind of things, right? I'm not on that. I come from more hands-on. I've been working in hotels, operations to sales and all that stuff. So it's totally different. So we have totally different audiences, totally different ways to present things. So that's how it all started. See, a lot of people don't even know. That's how I started. So that's the story. So tell the story. Why did you even start doing this podcast thing? Well, that's exactly why. Craig was the first one that invited me on to do a show. And then it went from there. And I said, you know what? I'm going to do this. So I did one thing with LA Talk Radio, and I'm like, the bug bit me, right? It's like, you got to continue to do this stuff, right? So I started doing it every Tuesday. I went into a studio then, right? So, I didn't get my own studio until maybe 90 shows later. So I did 90 shows with LA Talk Radio before I started my own thing because I wanted to learn the business. I wanted to learn the ins and outs, how they did things, although they didn't share a lot of things with me. So I just had to watch, right? You just have to watch and listen, right? Don't do a lot of talking. When you're trying to learn things, it's best to just shut up and just listen, right? Or watch, right? Because you can learn a lot more by doing that. So I would look at the buttons, I would look at what they were doing, because I had a producer, an editor, and all that kind of stuff, right? So I'm like looking at what they're doing, how they're doing it, the equipment they use, the microphones, the laptops. I was looking at everything, and I'm like, okay, I can visualize all this stuff, right? And then eventually I said, you know what? I think it's time for me to leave and jump out on my own and try it myself. Worst case scenario, I can always come back to LA Talk Radio. That's exactly what I thought, right? And I guess 3 years later, I'm still here because I just hit 5 years. I guess yesterday was 5 years that I've been doing on air with Russell of Hotel. So there you go. So it all worked out, right? But we all start somewhere. We all have a story to tell. I was just as afraid to do it because I didn't know what the reaction from people would be. You let people get in your head. Well, why are you doing it? Why would you do that? What do you have to talk about? You're not interesting. You're not funny. I mean, everything I heard all that, right? But then you gotta shut out all the noise too, right? Just like, okay, yeah, whatever. Okay, I'm gonna do it anyway. All right. So I started it. I'm doing it. I'm gonna continue to do it. So there you go. So that's my story, right? So I didn't know what I was gonna talk about today, but hey, there you go. You got people, Jim making comments and all that stuff, and then you got me just spewing out information that I didn't think I was gonna come up with, but I did. So once again, tomorrow, 3:00 PST, 6:00 EST on Victor Simmons' LinkedIn page, and like I said, Victor Simmons. So there you go. So we're gonna do this thing on personal branding, but once again, before you start that personal branding journey, 3 things that you should think about: be authentic, tell your story, and be consistent. There you go. That's it. So until tomorrow, I love you tomorrow. You're always a day away. That's it. You guys have a great day, and we'll talk to you soon. Peace.